And welcome back and welcome into Time Fantasy Analyst of the Year, Jamey Eisenberg, as we recap a busy Week 12 in fantasy football. And I want to start things out west. On Saturday, the Rams activated running back Kyren Williams from IR. And on Sunday, he explodes for 143 yards on 16 carries and adds 6 receptions for 61 yards, 2 touchdowns. It wasn't too long ago that I think a lot of people found gold in wide receiver Puka Nacua out in L.A. with that offense. So now with Kyren, is that another name that managers could find some success in going forward? Do you foresee him being LA's workhorse over Royce Freeman?
You know, Kiana, he was to start the season and unfortunately, missed the last 4 games with that ankle injury. It's kind of sandwiched on those 2 good games against the Cardinals, so he obviously loves facing Arizona. So we'll see how he does. Tough matchup going into Week 13 against the Browns, but anytime you're talking about a player that's this involved, and certainly this involved in the passing game, obviously the running numbers are great. And really, this is the first time we've seen him put up numbers like this in the passing game, small sample size, but with Cooper Kupp activated. So clearly Matthew Stafford leaning on him, coaching staff trusting him. We got some reports that it might be a split situation with Royce Freeman, and certainly Freeman had an opportunity to carry the ball 13 times in this game. But really, I think we're going to see Kyren Williams be a savior for fantasy managers. Just stay healthy, produce like you did early in the season, certainly produce like you did in Week 12, and we are going to have fantasy gold from the Rams backfield.
All right, well, let's stick with the running back position. What do we make of Isaiah Pacheco's outing in the Chiefs' win over the Raiders? Is this your start of the week, maybe one of his best outings of the year?
It certainly was, and he's been due. He's gone 5 straight games without scoring a rushing touchdown, so it was good to see him get back in the end zone twice. Nearly lost the first one when Clyde Edwards-Helaire got the first couple of opportunities there when they were knocking on the goal line. But you see what Pacheco's capable of, and without Jerick McKinnon on the field, he was dealing with an injury, was inactive for this game, was more involved in the passing game as well. So this was the guy that we were getting earlier in the year. Hopefully will be the guy that we get to close the season, and he could certainly be a difference maker for fantasy managers. So love what I saw from Isaiah Pacheco, and I appreciate him delivering as the start of the week.
Okay. Well, how about we just stick with the defending champs for a second? There's been a lot of talk about their receivers or lack thereof, but that wasn't really the case on Sunday with Rashee Rice leading the pack with another 100-plus yard day and a touchdown. Jamey, do the Chiefs finally have a reliable receiver?
I really hope so. We certainly saw what happened in the Eagles game with Marquez Valdes-Scantling in the drops, and Justin Watson also, having a hard time holding on to the ball. And Watson got a touchdown today. But clearly, this was the guy that we've been saying, okay, once he gets going, we're going to get a pretty good fantasy option here. And you saw it, 10 targets, finally getting him on the field and featuring him to the level that we saw. 8 catches, 107 yards, and a touchdown. So Patrick Mahomes needs somebody who's reliable. And clearly, a rookie is not the ideal choice, but if he's going to get these chances and produce like this, then we're going to be talking about a must-start fantasy receiver, because this is what Mahomes needs, this is what this team needs, and this is what fantasy managers need as well. So we have 6 teams on a bye going into Week 13. Rashee Rice is going to be a most likely starter in 3 receiver leagues. He might be a starter in 2 receiver leagues as well, based on this game and hopefully opportunity moving forward.
Okay, let's stick with that word reliable that you used. How about down in Jacksonville? Trevor Lawrence led the Jags to a big divisional win over C.J. Stroud and the Texans to give them a little bit of breathing room for first in the AFC South. But the highlight of that matchup was the play by Lawrence, a season-high 364 yards with the touchdown in the win. Is it time to trust Trevor Lawrence?
I think it is. Certainly in Week 13. Again, we got 6 teams on a bye. A lot of big-time quarterbacks are not going to be there. So I think he's got top 10 upside for sure, maybe even top 5 upside. It's the game against the Bengals, and you just wonder if he's going to have to do a lot because of how the Bengals offense is operating right now without Joe Burrow. But I think a spotlight game is going to be the opportunity that Lawrence needs to continue to showcase that he is a reliable quarterback, and certainly a reliable fantasy quarterback. And the thing that we saw today was he played great. He missed Evan Ingram on a wide-open touchdown in the end zone. Calvin Ridley dropped another touchdown. So he could have had an even bigger day from a fantasy point standpoint. But back-to-back games over 23 points, and I think that's the number you're looking for, because he had his 2 best games early in the season were 21 and 20 points. Not exactly the best situation, but down the stretch last year is when he stepped up. Maybe now we're going to get down the stretch this year, him stepping up once again. So I certainly feel a lot better about Trevor Lawrence. Keep Zay Jones healthy, because that seems to be the key. Every time Jones has played, Lawrence has been over 20 fantasy points. It kind of allows Calvin Ridley to do some different things. But with Ridley playing like this, with Christian Kirk playing like this, hopefully Evan Ingram starts to pick up the play a little bit. They've had a little bit of a hard time running the ball lately, but I like what I'm seeing from Trevor Lawrence, and I hope it continues for the rest of the season.
Yeah, hoping it continues as they look to continue to hold on to that spot in first in the AFC South. Jamey, I appreciate that so much, and thank you for the insight. And if you want more from Jamey, you're going to want to check out the Fantasy Football Today podcast. Jamey's joined by Heath Cummings, Dave Richard, and Adam Azer throughout the year, giving you all the advice you need to win your league, and that is available wherever you get your podcasts.